will be here at 6:30 tonight on BBC One with all the news and pictures for the region. Make sure you join him on BBC One tonight. Keep it here on BBC Radio Humberside as well. Andy Comfort will be here at 2 o'clock. If there's anything you want to talk about, do let me know. We'd love to hear from you, as always, on the programme. Now, we're going to talk to an author who's in the United States of America, but he's written a book, or he might have written 3 books. I'm not quite sure. We'll clarify it. And I think it's a work of fiction, but it is a work of fiction, but it's based in the truth of an event, I think I'm right in saying, on the River Humber that happened in the 1920s. He's published a series called the Airshipman Trilogy. Okay. His name is David Dennington, and he's the author of the Airshipman Trilogy, and he's joins us on the Burnsy Show here on BBC Radio Humberside, all the way from Virginia in the USA. Let's see if I can find him on the desk. He'll be there somewhere. He's maybe disappeared. I've got him now. Found him. Hiya, David. How are you?
Good morning, David. I'm very well, thank you.
Nice to talk to you. What time is it there? I always like to know, because you'll be in a totally different time zone to us.
We're 5 hours behind you, so it's 8:13 in the morning.
Right, okay. Well, I can tell you there'll be breaking news. Jose Mourinho's been sacked at Spurs. That'll be coming your way eventually. Once the world catches up with you. Now, tell us about the...
Look, I just have to confess, I am a Chelsea fan.
Oh, yeah? Oh, well... Well, your club are talking about going in this new European Super League. It's not going down well here. Not going down well at all. Now, tell us about the Airshipman Trilogy. Is this 3 books or is it 1 book?
Yes, it is 3 books. I originally published 1 book, and I decided to republish it as a trilogy. It makes it much easier to handle because it was a pretty big book. And to the trilogy, I've added lots of photographs, which is unusual for a novel, I know, but it does give people a great idea of what airships were like in those days and what people had to contend with. Because
you've given the game away here, because I hadn't even mentioned the airships other than the Airshipman Trilogy. Tell us about it, because this is a novel based on actual historical events that happened in and around the Humber. Please explain.
Yeah, the whole thing is really the story of the whole British airship program, which was spanned over a 10-year period, and the tragedy that happened in Hull was the prelude to the whole of the program that happened over the next 10 years. Mistakes were made in Hull. The Americans placed an order for an airship from us, and they were building it and designing it all at once. And the part of the deal was that the Americans would come over and be trained by the British in airship handling and in maintenance and all of that. So you had dozens and dozens of Americans were brought to England, and they were billeted in Hull and Howden and in Cardington. And a lot of people got to know them really well. They married a few of the Yorkshire girls. So it was a very entwined sort of community.
Right. So the book's built around this.
Yes.
And against the background of a tragedy, genuine tragedy with an airship.
That's correct, yeah. I introduced a few fictitious characters to make it all work. I wanted to really write a book for a TV miniseries, and which it would make a beautiful 12-part series with lots of human goings on in it. It sort of really highlights the suffering of the people and the tragedy that occurred.
Right. Okay. So tell us about the tragedy. When did it happen, and where did it happen?
It was 100 years ago this August in 24th of August. They were doing their last test. They were coming across the Holderness Plain, and they were going to fly. Well, they did fly over Hull and make a U-turn over the estuary of the Humber. They came across and made that turn, made it very radical, and it broke in half. And the front half just broke away and tore towards Victoria Pier, where there were thousands of people in the streets and on the waterfront who noticed this airship roaring across the sky, and they'd all rushed out excitedly. At 5:37 in the evening, they were on their way home from work, a lot of them. And the second half, the rear half of the ship floated gently down onto the sandbar in the middle of the estuary off of Victoria Pier. There were 44 of them were killed, 28 British and 16 Americans.
Right. And this had far-reaching implications, didn't it?
It certainly did. There were lots of mistakes made. A lot of it was due to everybody rushing to get this airship finished, get it tested. They were going to fly it to New Jersey, this green American crew. And this is one of the reasons why the Commodore Maitland, the Brit, was putting it through such rigorous tests. He didn't believe that the tests should be cut short the way they were. They were cut short from 150 hours down to 50 hours. And he wasn't happy about it. But the Americans wanted that ship because they built this magnificent, massive airship shed in New Jersey. So that's how he came to be maneuvering it, trying to assimilate conditions over the Atlantic they might be facing. As time was marching on, they knew the weather was going to get nasty over the Atlantic, as it does after August. So they were anxious to get away. So there were lots of pressures on them, which they vowed they would never repeat. And of course, they did. All the mistakes they made with this R-38, they made the same mistakes again. With the R101, which you may have heard of.
Yeah, indeed. So out of this, you've written a novel in and around it, the Airshipman trilogy. What brought you to the story? Where's your fascination for it come, David?
I'm glad you asked that, because when I was a teenager, I was reading Neville Shute's books. I don't know if you've.
Yeah, I remember him. Yeah.
Yeah, he became one of the most, if not the most popular author in the world for a time, and they made movies out of his books. But he was based at Howden, and he was telling the story of building the R100, and he was there as the chief calculator for the R100. And he tells the story of the R-38 also in his book called Slide Rule. And that was fascinating to me as a teenager. So gradually over the years, I always wanted to be an author. I went off and around the world, around the Bahamas and Bermuda, sailing and stuff like that and flying. And it got me into really wanting to write. So this is how that happened. And when we came to Virginia, I joined a writing school, studied screenplay writing for 5 or 6 years. And then everyone said, oh, these are great stories. You should write them into novels. So that's what I did.
All right.
Back to school. And I would urge anyone that's got interest in writing to get into screenplay writing and novel writing. It's wonderful.
It sounds alive, that, flying and sailing around the world. Were you just doing that for pleasure, or was this part of a job?
It was a job. I was in construction. I went to the Brixton School of Building in London as a lad, and decided building was a great thing to be in if you wanted to see the world. So I've got a job in the Bahamas building hotels and stuff like that. And from there, it progressed into all kinds of different construction, which also helped me with this story in a way, because the airship itself is just nothing but a massive steel frame building, really. So that did help me.
Brilliant. So it is called the Airshipman Trilogy. It is out now, I take it, David?
It is. It's on Amazon. You can see the pages on Amazon, the Amazon Trilogy. And you can see it on my website. There's lots of stuff on there about it. And a subsequent book I also wrote was called The Ghost of Captain Hinchliffe, which ties into this airship story as well. That's a true British ghost story.
Right.
The Ghost of Captain Hinchliffe, if you like ghost stories.
Well, if you sell the film rights or the TV mini-series rights to the Airshipman Trilogy, and they're going to film in Hull, do come back to us, and I'll brush up on me acting skills just in case there's any spare parts going for extras.
There's lots of parts.
Right, good. Well, I'm sure there might be one for me. David, it's been a pleasure. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you, David.
There you
Pleasure.
go. There you go. David Dennington.
Oh,
that's quite all right. Thank you very much for coming on. David Dennington in Virginia in the USA. The Airshipman Trilogy, telling the story, but not just in a historical sense, but in a novel sense, about the airship that came down over the Humber in August 1921. That just educated me. I wasn't really aware of that. I knew there was a problem with an airship down Howden Way. If you've got a thought on that or anything else that we might be talking about today, do let me know.